All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number 4. That is right, week number 4 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and what we are going to do this week is first we're going to do our standard state of the course update, and then after the state of the course update, I'm going to say a few things about the Wikipedia edit assignment and about Wikipedia in general. So if you are wondering and you want some context, as far as, okay, why does Dr. Jace make us do a Wikipedia edit in a reference class? I'm going to talk about why this assignment exists, what I hope you get out of it, and then also I'm going to do a little bit of soapboxing about some of the information science and library science implications of Wikipedia. So having said that, let's first get into that state of the course update. There are a few things I need to talk about. By the way, you can speed this up, and I will put that in the announcement as well. But yes, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the state of the course update and where we are right now. So first of all, things that you need to know for this is the first thing we need to know. I will expand on this a little bit. So as far as your LibGuide topics and your Wikipedia topics, first of all, they don't have to be the same thing. That question came up. You do not have to do the same topic for your Wikipedia edit that you do for your LibGuide. You don't have to do that, okay? So they can be different things, and for most of you, they are going to be different things. I'm probably not even, to be honest with you, going to remember what you did your Wikipedia edit on by the time I grade your LibGuide. So yeah, don't worry about making those the same thing. But some things that I wanted you all to be aware of. First of all, I am relaxing the parameters in both of these assignments so that you can pretty much cover whatever you want to cover. You do not have to, I know that there's language about doing something scholarly and that sort of thing. I sort of gauge every class and see where my students are and what they need enforcement with and that sort of thing within those first few weeks. And then I determine whether or not I'm going to make them stick with, whether or not I'm going to make them stick with doing something scholarly or serious, or whether or not I'm going to allow them to just do what they want to do. And in this particular case, yes, I am comfortable enough with you all to where I think it's okay to just say, yeah, do topics that you want to do topics that you will enjoy doing for your Wikipedia edit and for your LibGuide. Make sure they're things that you'll enjoy, and that way you will do a better job. And trust me, I think that you all will be just fine based on your performances in the class as far as being able to pick out your own topics. But I will say that if you want to know whether or not a topic will be viable, just sort of message me and ask me. For Wikipedia, pretty much any topic or pretty much any page is fine. But yeah, for the LibGuide, there are going to be some things that are either too narrow and therefore you won't find all the source types, or they're going to be too broad and they're going to make your LibGuide unfocused. So if you want to check in with me before you start your LibGuide, especially to see if your topic is okay, by all means do so. But with Wikipedia, I think pretty much any page that you enhance is going to be fine. And there are pages about pretty much everything on Wikipedia. Well, pretty much everything significant and important, I should say. I will also add, excuse me for a second. And then let me also add that, yes, if you would like to create a Wikipedia page from scratch, I do have that question come up every now and then, and that's perfectly fine too. If instead of enhancing and making a major edit to one, you just want to start a Wikipedia page, that is fine, except please check with me first about the topic, because some of those Wikipedia pages actually do get, some of them are not relevant for Wikipedia, or they don't meet Wikipedia's guidelines for one reason or another, and they get deleted. So definitely still contact me and make sure that your topic, if you want to start a topic from scratch, is something that's not likely to be deleted. Let's go into some of the other things here that you should probably know. Yeah, so I've talked about all this. Okay. And this is something that I want to note as well. A Wikipedia edit isn't necessarily a correction. It's probably actually not going to be a correction. Most of the Wikipedia edits that I have in this class actually end up being people adding information to a Wikipedia page, not correcting information, but adding information. So a lot of times they'll add one or two more quality sources and add 2, 3, 4 more sentences to the Wikipedia page, and that is a major edit. If you add like 2 or 3 sentences from a major source, that's actually a major insignificant edit, okay? So don't worry about trying to actually correct something. That is not what I mean by edit here. Now, also the other thing that I want you all to be aware of is that for your LibGuides, if you are, I'm going to make a check-in video about LibGuides probably next week, even though your Wikipedia edit will not be due until week after next, so I'm still probably going to go ahead and make the LibGuide check-in video next week so that you will have both of those. And then those of you who are working ahead, you can go ahead and get started on your LibGuide assignment after you finish your Wikipedia edit, even if you, and that includes if you finish your Wikipedia edit early, like if you were to finish it tomorrow even, tomorrow being, I don't know when you're watching this, but tomorrow being June the 25th. If you are watching it tomorrow, then and then you do the Wikipedia edit tomorrow, by all means, you can go ahead and start on your LibGuide. But so I will, again, make the LibGuide video next week. But your LibGuide logins, I created those this afternoon. So those should actually be in your, student email accounts. Check your spam as well. And then if you did not get one, if you did not get a welcome email from LibApps, then you need to reach out to me so that we can make sure that you are able to actually complete the assignment. I can troubleshoot and see what's going on with why you did not get a message from LibApps, okay? And that does happen every now and then. Usually does happen to 1 or 2 students every semester, okay? All right, let's go into something else with the state of the course update, if there is anything else. Give me one moment. Okay, so I think this is the last thing that I need to mention for the state of the course update, and that's going to be that you all should have already done discussions 4 and 5. Those were due on June the 23rd, so that was this past Sunday. Your next discussion prompt is not due. First of all, you only have 2. This is how the class works. It's a little different. I understand that, but don't get frustrated. So you did discussion prompts 4 and 5, and they were due on Sunday, June the 23rd, so those should already be turned in. And now you actually only have 2 discussion prompts left. One that's going to be due on July the 7th, so 2 weeks from now, and then one that's going to be due on July the 21st, which is the same date as the LibGuide. That's when that is due, and then this is due, I believe, on the same date as your Wikipedia edit. Let me make sure. Oh, I'm in the wrong place here. Hold on. And the Wikipedia edit is due, yes, on July 7th. So on the dates that you have Wikipedia edit assignments and LibGuides due, you also have a discussion board prompt due, but it's only one for each of those, okay? So yes, so I want you all to kind of take a little bit of a deep breath. It seemed like the discussion board prompts were stressing some of you out, but you've actually already, in the first 3 weeks, you already got through the bulk of that. And from here on out, it's kind of smooth sailing on the, at least on the discussion board prompts. You don't have to worry about those too much. Again, you only got 2 left, one that's due in 2 weeks and one that's due in 4 weeks. And outside of that, what you can do is you can go ahead and get really, really good into the semester-long project. That's the reason why this course is designed the way it is, so that you can go ahead and get a lot of your discussion out of the way, and then you can go ahead and work on that semester-long project, okay? So now if you haven't started on that because, I don't know, maybe the readings were too intense or having to put stuff on the discussion boards was too intense or something like that, now is the time to start because you're going to be spending less time on the discussion boards from now on. All right, now that we've talked about that, let's talk about a little Wikipedia. Give me one moment. Okay, so let's get into talking about Wikipedia again. As I said before, this is my favorite assignment that I assign in any class that I teach. I just love this assignment. And really the reason why I love this assignment is because I think that it does reach people outside of the class, and that's something that is precious to me. So with your virtual reference paper and your LibGuide and, excuse me, whatever other assignments you might complete when you take other classes with me. If you take intellectual freedom, for instance, you might do an advocacy letter. You may participate in a debate and those sorts of things. And then there are a bunch of other assignments in all the other classes, of course. But what really I think helps a lot of people outside of the class is when I am able to direct the labor of my students into basically into enhancing something that the world over can see. And so Wikipedia is something that is not constrained by the confines of this class. Those edits that you all make, if they're not taken down, will be edits that people are able to read even 10, 20, 30 years in the future. But this is information that if you enhance a page, somebody else who's in no way connected to the class might come across that information, and that information might be beneficial to them. And so by doing this assignment, you could potentially be helping out your fellow human beings. And that's something that me, because I'm all gushy and all that stuff, that's something that I'm really, really into. So that's what makes this my favorite assignment. And so this does beg the question for some of you, the question of, okay, but why would we even be worried in this class about something like Wikipedia when Wikipedia is not a useful resource? Because I'm very sure that you all have been taught at different points in your academic careers that Wikipedia is not something you should use. Maybe you, if you're young enough, maybe you were taught that in K-12. Certainly most of you are actually young enough, even though there was no Wikipedia when I was in K-12. But certainly that's not the case for you all. Or even if it wasn't when you were in K-12, maybe a college professor in your undergrad or in another graduate program told you Wikipedia, you shouldn't use it. And probably the reason they told you shouldn't use it is because they probably told you it was inaccurate. So that's what I want to deal with today, is I want to tell you something else. Wikipedia is actually not that inaccurate, folks. Wikipedia has been shown in studies to be as accurate as Encyclopedia Britannica, okay? So the problem with Wikipedia actually is not accuracy, regardless of what you've been told in the past. However, there are two issues with Wikipedia that make it an unreliable source, at least for academic work. Let's talk about what those two issues are. Those two issues are authority and stability. So when I talk about authority and stability, this is what I talk about, and these are the things that make Wikipedia not a useful source, particularly for academic research and that sort of thing. So when I talk about authority, what I mean is authorship, who actually authored a piece. So when you look at a journal article, a magazine article, a newspaper article, these sorts of things that come in periodicals, even when you look at books a lot of the time, things tend to not be anonymous. Okay, there's usually a byline, and on the byline, you get to know who actually wrote the material that you are reading. So a lot of times, like I used to be a newspaper reporter, and when I was a newspaper reporter, yeah, I would, in my stories would say by Jason Austin. And so when you know who the author is, that gives you an opportunity to say, okay, what is this author up to? What's this author's track record? Yada, yada, yada. So you can then explore whether the author may have an objective, whether they may have an agenda, you know, exactly what their convictions are, if those are transparent and that sort of thing. So for instance, I'm actually going to go into op-ed pieces when I talk about this, but let's say that you have two pieces and like you have just two op-ed columns. One is written by Rachel Maddow and one is written by Tucker Carlson, okay? So you know that with those two, if it's written by Rachel Maddow, it's probably pushing a progressive agenda. If it's written by Tucker Carlson, it's probably pushing some sort of right-wing or conservative agenda, right? But again, it's useful to have that information. We know that Maddow is biased, and we know that Tucker Carlson is biased. And when we know that they offered these things, then we are able to say, okay, let's explore their biases. Yes, this is a piece that I'm reading, and I'm sure there's factual information in it. But because Rachel Maddow wrote it, maybe it is sort of trying to push a progressive agenda. Or maybe because Tucker Carlson wrote it, it's trying to push some sort of conservative agenda. Now, when things are anonymous, when there is no stated authority, you can't really do that, can you? So let's talk about Wikipedia. Are Wikipedia edits anonymous? Kinda. The term that I use is pseudo-anonymous. Now, you can track the IP addresses, yes, of the different edits that are made on Wikipedia. And certainly people also a lot of times register with Wikipedia, so they have usernames and that sort of thing. So you can technically probably find out who is contributing what edits, but it's not like having a byline, right? It's not like being able to open a document and the first thing you see is by Jason Austin or by John Doe or Jane Doe, right? If you only see when you open a Wikipedia page, if you only see the text and the information and you have to dig to figure out who wrote it or who found it, well, that's probably going to cut a lot of people out of the equation because a lot of people aren't going to put forth that effort to determine, okay, yeah, exactly who wrote this, exactly who contributed this edit, who contributed that edit, so forth and so on. People generally are not going to do that because you do have to dig for that information to really find it in Wikipedia, okay? So when you are doing academic research, academic writing, when you are, putting up anything in this class, turning anything in, or anything in your grad work in CISL, yes, you probably don't want to use Wikipedia just as a source because you don't know who is contributing what and you don't know the biases of who is contributing these things and why, okay? The second issue that we talk about with Wikipedia, aside from authority, is stability. Stability is whether or not a source is going to say different things depending on when you look at it. So as an example of this, and this is going to be a very crude example, but it works. It gives you the fundamentals of what I'm talking about, okay? Let's say that you are doing a, well, first of all, let's make it clear that stability is something that affects accuracy in such a way, and here's how I'm going to illustrate this with an example, okay? So let's say Wikipedia did exist in the 1980s. It did not, but let's say that it did. So let's say that Wikipedia existed in the 1980s and it still exists now. And then let's say that you had looked for a page on Wikipedia for the USSR, right? Or the Soviet Union. Now, if you were looking at Wikipedia in 1988 and trying to research the Soviet Union, Wikipedia would say the Soviet Union is a nation, blah, 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 blah. But if you are looking at Wikipedia in 2024, trying to do research on the USSR or the Soviet Union, when you clicked on that Wikipedia page, it wouldn't say the Soviet Union is a nation, blah, blah, blah. It would say the Soviet Union was a nation, blah, 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 blah. Both would be accurate at their time, right? So if you were looking at Wikipedia in 1988 and Wikipedia said the Soviet Union is, that would be accurate because the Soviet Union still existed at that point. However, in the early 1990s, which I'm old enough to remember, some of you were not born yet, but I'm old enough to remember, in the 1990s, yes, the Soviet Union was dissolved. And when the Soviet Union was dissolved, it no longer existed. So now if you look for a Wikipedia page about the Soviet Union, the page would say the Soviet Union was. And is would have been accurate in 1988 and was would be accurate in 2024. But in this case, what you're dealing with is the same source that is saying two different things. And that means the source is unstable, even if it is accurate in both situations. So I hope that makes sense. It would be accurate in 1988 for a Wikipedia page to say the Soviet Union is a country, but it would also be accurate in 2024 for a Wikipedia page to say the Soviet Union was a country. Now, let's go back to that, because one thing that can be kind of confusing with that is that, yes, this means that there can be out-of-date sources, but those out-of-date sources are still probably better to use in academic research than than Wikipedia, because those out-of-date sources still say the same thing in 2024 that they said in the 1980s, okay? So yeah, the source might not be accurate anymore because it's out of date, but it's still a source that when I look at it in 2024, if I look at your work cited and wanted to read what you had cited, I would be looking at the same thing in 2024 that was written in 1988. However, with Wikipedia, because it's an unstable source, something that was written a certain way in 2011 could be completely different in 2024, even though it is the same source. And that's not good for researchers because, yes, as researchers, we do still need our sources to say the same thing that they said originally. Okay, we need to be able to go back into especially a primary source document and say, okay, this is what this source says, and this is what it's always going to say, and so this information is not going to be changed or corrupted, right? So those are Wikipedia's issues. You do not, Wikipedia is very accurate, is highly accurate. Its problem is not accuracy. The problems are stability and authority, okay? So we got that out of the way, and now I want to kind of soapbox on a few other things related to Wikipedia. The first thing that I do want to say is that Wikipedia is something that has kind of replaced the traditional encyclopedia as far as a starting point for the reference work, okay? And by the time I started doing reference work, my first job doing reference work was in 2008. So in 2008, by then, yes, the internet was in full fling, high-speed internet was in full fling, Wikipedia was there, all sorts of things by 2008, right? So it used to be, I had a lot of older coworkers back then. I was 25 in 2008. I had a lot of older coworkers who did remember the pre-internet library days. And what they would tell me is, yeah, before the internet, when somebody asked us something and we needed to do a little bit of background research to figure out exactly what they were talking about before we went and found sources, what we would do is we would go to the encyclopedia. We would go to those old Encyclopedia Britannicas, and we would find an article about what they were talking about, read a few things, and then the information we read in the encyclopedia would give us some insight on how to tackle the reference question. These days, instead of using Wikipedia for that, what you're going to be using is, instead of using an encyclopedia for that, a lot of times what librarians are starting out with is Wikipedia. And Wikipedia is actually better for that exercise, in my opinion, because Wikipedia does have those links within the articles, so you can find this, and then that can lead to that, and that can lead to that, and you can go down a rabbit hole. And it's very good to be able to go down a rabbit hole when you are doing this type of research. Because when you're trying to answer a reference question and you know absolutely nothing about what the patron is talking about, and I've been there, those rabbit holes, those links, especially if you right click and open in a new tab, that can give you a lot of background information and a lot of vocabulary to use to plug into your OPAC in order to get some returns or some results that you need, or in your database, your OPAC or your database, to bring back the returns to get the sources of information that actually will be useful to your patron, okay? So that's why Wikipedia, we don't recommend that you give somebody Wikipedia as an actual source when they're looking for sources. But a lot of times what librarians will do is, instead of giving somebody Wikipedia as the source, what they will do is they will use Wikipedia to get some background information, find a few, a lot of times they will use some of the citations or the cited information in a Wikipedia article to kind of explain, okay, these are some of the useful sources, some of the reliable sources that you can actually use and take with you. And these were sources that Wikipedia cited. So I'm not giving you Wikipedia, but I am giving you those reliable sources that Wikipedia cited, and I'm allowing you to use those sources. I'm giving you those to help with your reference inquiry. And Wikipedia does allow you to familiarize yourself with a subject matter very, very quickly. So if you're savvy in that regard, then by all means, jump on Wikipedia, grab some information really quickly, plug some of what you're finding out into databases and OPACs, and get more higher quality resources for your patrons that way. So that's how Wikipedia is used in libraries. And yes, you are going to use Wikipedia in your library career. Don't listen to anyone who tells you that you're not, because you are. Now, there are a few other things that I want to soapbox on with Wikipedia. This will probably take another 15 minutes. So again, I hope you sped this up. But I do believe that the information that I shared with you so far is more important than the information that I am going to be sharing from now on. So if you, from now on until the end of this video, so if you want to stop here, you can. But if you want to listen to me soapbox a little bit more about some of the implications of Wikipedia with information science as opposed to library science, this is a time to go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and bear with me for another 15 minutes. Less than that if you sped it up. So there are three things that I want to make you aware of. And the first is the existence of the Wikipedia Edit-a-thon, because I'm hoping that after this assignment, some of you will decide that you want to participate in edit-a-thons. So you'll see announcements for edit-a-thons, Wikipedia edit-a-thons in the news. You'll see them on library listservs, so forth and so on. And basically what an edit-a-thon is for Wikipedia is a Wikipedia edit-a-thon is a set-aside or a window of time. It can be a specific set-aside block of time, or it can be a window of time wherein people who know what they're talking about usually will actually take the time out to enhance Wikipedia articles, okay? And you see this, so this particular edit-a-thon is surrounding research skills. That's actually pretty vague. I was looking for a better Wikipedia edit-a-thon article, but unfortunately there isn't a recent Wikipedia edit-a-thon article. AAPI community. Okay, so that is a little more, sorry, I was kind of going really fast here. So in this case, what you're seeing is people are setting aside time to actually specifically enhance Wikipedia articles that deal with Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. So that's what's going on here, or what was going on here. This has already happened. A lot of times you'll see Wikipedia edit-a-thon announcements for edit-a-thons that are coming in the future. And those can be very useful because when librarians see those, a lot of times librarians will want to participate, so they'll reach out to whoever's sponsoring the edit-a-thon or whatever, and they'll participate. But with the edit-a-thon like this, it's specifically geared to a race / multiple ethnicities. In this case, you would probably have a lot of the people that are participating are probably going to be people who are of that background, or they're going to be librarians, or they're going to be sociologists, or people who deal with racial issues. They're going to be the ones enhancing these. But for a lot of Wikipedia edit-a-thons, things can get very, very field specific. So a lot of times you will see Wikipedia edit-a-thons related to health and medicine and nursing and that sort of thing. And usually when you see those, the people who are enhancing those articles, in addition to health sciences librarians, generally are doctors and nurses and people who are researchers in the fields of medicine and health and those sorts of things, medicine, health science, those sorts of things. So people are usually participating in Wikipedia edit-a-thons related to their area of expertise. And you'll see these in the sciences, and you'll see these in history. You'll also see a lot of Wikipedia edit-a-thons related to social issues, especially feminism. So when feminism comes up, when you see like a Wikipedia edit-a-thon that's centered on feminism, what you will see in those situations a lot of times are a lot of feminist activists participating in the edit-a-thon. You will see a lot of college students doing things, a lot of college professors also. Those are the people who participate in those Wikipedia edit-a-thons. And again, you will see these on library listservs a lot because librarians are some of the key figures who participate in Wikipedia edit-a-thons. So I wanted you to be aware of the existence of those. The next thing I want to talk to you about is bias. Hold on one moment. All right, so one of the good things about Wikipedia being the type of source that it is that Wikipedia does not have to hide its own faults. So one thing that you will see, and this is talked about a lot, but Wikipedia does not attempt to hide it, is that there is actually a Wikipedia page about gender bias on Wikipedia. Okay, and Wikipedia has a very, very strong gender bias. So Wikipedia has basically, okay, honestly, I really don't know the full contributor to why Wikipedia suffers from so much gender bias, except I will say that a lot of information sources just inherently have gender bias because of who researchers find to be the important figures throughout history, okay? But yeah, Wikipedia is open with its gender bias, and it is said that Wikipedia, even though, excuse me. Okay, so I was trying to see what the believed breakdown was between men and women or males and females of contributors to Wikipedia or editors of Wikipedia, but I was not satisfied with what I was seeing. I didn't want to pass on that information because I wasn't sure how reliable it was. But one thing that we can talk about is that when it comes to the information that is presented in Wikipedia, first of all, for instance, like what you see here, 41% of the biographies nominated for deletion were women, despite only 17% of published biographies were of women. Okay, so it's like women make up very few or a very small percentage of the total biographies published on Wikipedia, and yet they are close to half of the deleted biographies. And certainly there's some gender bias that plays into that. But then also when you look at individual articles, a lot of times they will be kind of short and skimpy on their coverage of the contributions that women have made to the particular subject matter that the Wikipedia page is covering, but they give you a lot of information on the men who have contributed to that subject matter, okay? And so that's how gender bias on Wikipedia manifests. And so one thing that again, those editathons that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, a lot of times what you see in those editathons, again, are people trying to give women their due or give historically disenfranchised populations their due. Okay. And that's what we need more of. That's why I do this. That's why I talk about this. And most of my students in library science, of course, are going to be women. And I want to put this on people's radar because this is something that needs to be fixed. And I think it's something that a lot of the women in our program are interested in working to fix. It's not their burden to fix it, but they're interested in working on fixing it when time permits. And they probably also do want men to be involved in they probably want men to, be a little more fair, a little more inclusive, and not just focus on what other men are doing, but also give acknowledgement to what women have contributed to society, okay? And you can be the type of activist who goes ahead and does this sort of thing. And this is what we have. We actually have people who have done this. This is one of the more well-known examples, but there are other examples as well. So a couple of years ago, I think this is 2021, right? No, 2022, sorry. So in 2022, MSNBC, or actually NBC, did this feature on a then 33-year-old woman who had published Wikipedia biographies about over 1,000 previously unknown female scientists. And that's the type of thing we need. I'm going to link this article into the announcement that I put this check-in video in so that you can kind of review this for yourself. But this is what we need. And we need this not just in science, but we need it in every field. We need it in education. We need it in sports. We need it in library science, and we need it everywhere else. And it shouldn't be the burden of women to do all this work, but I am hoping that sometimes even women aren't aware of the gender biases on Wikipedia. So again, kind of spotlighting this, highlighting this is the way to kind of raise awareness of the problem. And it's when you raise awareness of the problem that you can begin to work on solutions. Okay. So, especially if anybody decides that they want to enhance the page to, in a way, or do their Wikipedia edit assignment in a way that sort of deals with an inherent, or like a gender bias or another type of bias or racial bias, ableism bias, or, bias against LGBTQ plus populations, that sort of thing. All of these things, right? If you want to, you can enhance your Wikipedia article with the goal of trying to combat some of the bias that may be in a page that you are aware of or that you come across. And if you do that sort of thing, then again, I feel that you are doing a very small step, but still a very small but important step in just making this world a better place. Okay, so that's enough of that. And in the next 5 minutes, I am going to just talk about Mr. Stephen Pruitt, because he is probably somebody you haven't heard of. So I can't take a poll, but if I were to take a poll and ask how many of you have heard of this guy, Stephen Pruitt, maybe one hand will go up, maybe two, but probably not a lot of hands. And yet, let me just tell you something. Stephen Pruitt is one of the most influential people on the information landscape in this country. He is. He's relatively unknown, and yet he has a mega influence on the information that people consume. And to me, that is scary. So this is an information science thing that I want to bring up as well. So this is Stephen Pruitt. Stephen Pruitt is a man who lives in Virginia, and he has made over 3 million edits to Wikipedia. You heard that right. Oh, actually, 3 million was me short selling him. Pruitt has made over 4 million edits to Wikipedia. Pruitt has created 33,000 original Wikipedia articles. This man has done a lot of stuff with Wikipedia. People are reading it every day, consuming it every day, using it to fill their information needs every single day. And they do not know who this guy is or what his motives and agenda are. And to me, that is some scary, scary stuff. Okay. So when I first started talking about Stephen Pruitt, there wasn't even a Wikipedia page about Stephen Pruitt, but now there is. So Wikipedia, Stephen Pruitt is an American Wikipedia editor with the largest number of edits made in English Wikipedia, with over 5,000 at this point. So I just said 4,000, now it's 5,000, okay? So this is a guy who, again, is very obscure. Nobody really knows much about him. He's been in the press a little bit, but not much. And yet you might be reading stuff that he had a hand in making every single day, and you don't even know it. If you're, I never go a full day without looking at Wikipedia. Never, ever. And so every single day I am probably encountering something that Stephen Pruitt has altered, because every day I'm on Wikipedia, and yet I don't know hardly anything about this guy, including what his objectives are. Now, he's probably a safe guy, but let's say that, and this is what concerns me, let's say that we all know, for instance, that there are troll farms on social media, right? So the United States probably has its own troll farms, but we know that Russian troll farms have been operating on social media to try to influence the decisions of American voters, and Chinese troll farms have also existed and influenced people in other nations, probably also including the United States. The United States probably operates some troll farms as well, and if they do, our troll farms probably affect probably our neighbors in Canada and whatever Anglophone countries there are in the Caribbean and those sorts of places. It's probably a lot of underhanded stuff that the United States government is doing that we don't know about, as that's always been the case. Certainly, the United States has played a major role in a lot of the in the foreign affairs of a lot of countries. Okay. And so what I worry about is the same way that you can use social media to influence voters and to kind of destabilize democracies and that sort of thing. I think the same can be done with Wikipedia if somebody's savvy enough. Wikipedia does have a built-in peer review system that does take care of a lot of the potential nonsense that could happen. But what if a country found a way around that? What if Vladimir Putin was able to figure out how to, how to get troll farms to not only put bad information, disinformation as we would call it, on Wikipedia to confuse Americans? What if he's not only able to do that, but he's able to get around the peer review system that would erase a lot of the information? Like, I don't know how it would be done, but Vladimir Putin's a smart guy. What if he figured it out? What if it's as simple as just having enough troll farmers to where once somebody makes a malicious edit, you have a bunch of other troll accounts on Wikipedia, acting as if the information is accurate and, shouting down any other Wikipedia editors who are saying, oh, wait, this should not be in this. And what if you get enough troll actors to combat the quality control peer review? And then you just end up with inaccurate information all across Wikipedia. And it could be political information that starts to, just like the social media, starts tearing our country apart and destabilizing our country and that sort of thing. I think that Wikipedia presents a very, very underrated security risk. with our country. And I think that one of the things that we need to do is to, I think this is why information literacy is so important. I think that what we've got to do is from the earliest of ages, I'm talking about second and third grade, we need to get it in people's heads, different ways of discerning what information is and isn't accurate. And, what people should do as far as not just believing whatever you see at face value on Wikipedia, but maybe following links and that sort of thing. We need to be teaching that very, very early. And instead of teaching that very, very early, instead, what we're teaching very, very early is that Wikipedia is not an accurate source. And I think that that is dangerous. Finally, the last thing that I'm going to say is, I'll be done in about 3 minutes here. The last thing that I want to say is, this is something that I say to kind of encourage my students to practice self-care and take care of themselves, is that, and some of you may be offended by this, but quite frankly, my goal here is not to be offensive. My goal is to look out for your health. And I hope some of you realize this. I'm sure this is going to offend one or two people, but please know that my heart is in the right place, even if you do get offended by this. But another thing that I'm going to say about this whole Stephen Pruitt issue, and it may not be nice, is that when it comes to people who are librarians or people who work in LIS, and this used to be true of me as well, a lot of these people make librarianship their entire life, and that used to be me. Before my wife and daughter, I was making librarianship my entire life. I would go to my library job, and then I would come home and do library stuff with different organizations. I'd be doing that all through the night. I would be like editing newsletters or helping plan library conferences and a whole bunch of other different things that you can do. You will never be bored as a librarian because there is always work that you can pick up. Okay. Professional development work that you can pick up. There's a ton of it. Okay. But, I was doing all of that at the expense of my health. I was way too deep in the library scene, and I was making it my social life, and all of my friends were librarians, and I was dating librarians, and so forth and so on. And this is the case with a lot of people in our field. And when that becomes descriptive of people in our field, what happens is it also causes them to neglect their health. I don't know Stephen Pruitt, but I'm a little concerned that he's probably not getting enough sleep, maybe not eating healthy, and maybe also not getting enough exercise because he's so zoned in on Wikipedia. And one thing that I'm going to mention is that, again, this is not meant to be mean, and I'm sorry if somebody gets offended by me saying this, but I'm older than Stephen Pruitt. Stephen Pruitt is 40 years old. I am 41, so I'm not that much older than him, but I am older than him. And yet, I don't think that I look older than him, to be honest with you. But this is because I do try to do a few things to practice self-care. I try to eat right. I try to get enough sleep, but who gets enough sleep these days? But I try to get my rest when I can. I try to eat right, and I do exercise as well. And I'm not sure that Stephen Pruitt is doing that. And because I'm not sure that Stephen Pruitt is doing that, I'm not sure that he is as healthy as he could be at 40. Okay. He does just quite frankly look like he could be potentially older than 40 to me. And that's not something that I want on people. Usually when people look older than their age, a lot of times they can't help it because it is health conditions, but sometimes they actually can help it. And it's just a matter of, stress and poor work-life balance and ending up letting yourself go because you don't have time to exercise and you don't have time to eat properly. So you're going to McDonald's all the time and those sorts of things. And so what I really want you all to do throughout your librarian careers is I do want you all to practice self-care and to have work-life balance. Do not make the mistake that Dr. Jace made wherein I allowed this field to become my life. Don't do it. It will not reward you. This field will never love you as much as you love it, okay? It will never love you as much as you love it. And for all of the sweat, blood, and tears that you put in this field, people will turn their backs on you. And I've had that happen to me too. I have been a dedicated worker, for instance, for the Black Caucus, the American Library Association, BCALA. since I was 25 years old, so for 16 years. And now, after all the work that I've done, countless hours of work that I had done for them, I was the president-elect, and the executive board of BCALA, despite all the work that I've done over the years, voted me out of the executive board seat. Voted me out of the president-elect seat a few weeks ago due to some disagreements that we were having on how to handle a certain situation. I won't go into further details, but I say that to say these people ain't loving you. These people are not your friends. They are not your family. I've had people tell me that going to library conferences to them was like a family reunion. Get that crap out of your head right now. These people don't love you like that. They really don't. They will tell you they do. And some of them really will be so lonely that they will act like they do. But it's really, really not that sweet, folks. A lot of these people in libraries, just like a lot of people anywhere, are self-serving, and they will get what they can out of you, and then they will not be there when you need a favor, okay? So what I want you all to do throughout your library careers is to practice self-care. Eat properly. Step away from the library stuff for a few hours every day, and maybe even for a full day once every 7 days, once every week. You gotta have some balance. You can't make this your life, because I'll tell you, at times to me it feels like libraries are a cult, just a bunch of groupthink. It's weird. A lot of people are, at the same time that they're trying to do the one-upmanship and trying to sound smarter than everybody else, at the same time they're still also, quite frankly, agreeing with everybody else. And it's just a very weird dynamic that happens in our field. And I don't want you all to fall victim to that. So eat properly. Make time to get some rest. Make time to cook a proper meal. And when I say, yes, I do some intense exercising. I actually do martial arts, and that can be pretty intense. Okay, and I've had injuries and stuff related to that. And the older I get, the harder that's going to be. You don't have to run a mile or be a sprinter or be a martial artist or play some sort of extreme sport to get exercise. Doing Pilates, doing yoga, stretching, that is exercise. But do stuff that gets your mind and body in sync, and that is the only way that you're going to stay healthy, okay? Don't give this field your soul, because it ain't going to love you like you love it. Those are the best words of wisdom that I can give you all. And I give you those words of wisdom because I do care about you all. And I've seen some things that you all may not have seen yet, but trust me, once you get into the field, you are going to see some things and be like, oh, yeah, okay. But I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to keep you from as much pain as possible. With that said, I am Dr. Jace, and when it comes to self-care, always make space. I'll see you next week.